Hashem, good.
19th of March, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora. I guess there's no Phil today.
Yeah, I would have come in sooner, but I figured must not be the time because he didn't come yet. Okay. Oh well. So where are we up to here? Ooh, 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 ooh.
Let's see, Yud
Okay, yeah,
Zion Amid Aleph.
yeah.
Let's see, where are we? About Rav
We
Huna.
were yeah, yeah, we can start from there.
Ad Sha'at Mada Badin. Till the time when case is brought to court for judgment. So this was the three opinions about how long after he sells the stolen land, and then he buys it from the original owner, do we presume that he's looking out for the good of the person he sold it to? The first opinion says until the case is brought to judgment. And the footnote says until the owner repossesses the land and the purchaser begins proceedings for the refund of his money from the robber.
Okay.
Um, so then there's Chia bar Rav Amar. Chia bar Rav says, Ad de mata ad brachta le yada. Until the seizure warrant reaches the purchaser's hand. The purchaser's hand. Okay, so the purchaser, I guess, has gone to court. This is later than the first
Yeah,
case,
this is right. This is later, right? He's already gone to court.
and he's gotten a court order, I guess, which says he can go and get the money from the robber.
Yeah.
And then Rav Papa Amar,
Morning, Phil.
sorry,
Hi,
hey Phil.
how you doing? Okay, I know where we are. It's okay. That paragraph with the three opinions. Go ahead.
Oh, to answer your question about the newsletter. Um,
Yeah,
so Dana's Manim starts the first of Nisan,
right.
which is I
Which
think
is which is which is a Sunday actually.
right Sunday. So the Friday preceding that, Emir Hashem will have a newsletter, and
Right. Okay.
and we won't have any until after Pesach.
Okay. And then you'll tell me which week you're ready to start after Pesach
Yeah,
again. Okay.
I'll send out a reminder email saying a reminder newsletter when I want more inputs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so we're on 16A2, right hand column, top of the column. Rav Papa Amar, Ad she maschalan yomei av razta, until the days of public announcement begin. So this is even later This is when he's the purchaser has gone to court. He's gotten the court order, and now he's repossessing the land, and he's gonna sell the land in order to get his money.
Oh, excuse me, I have to go. I'll be right back. Hello, are you here? Okay, I'm coming out.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of these Rashis. Which Rashi did we get up to over here?
We did the first one. I don't think we did the second one of them. So if you want to see what the three cases are.
Yeah. Oh, you did the Rashi ad Shas Amar B'Din?
Yeah.
Okay. Ad Yitrafuhu min Elokeach v'yamidu B'Din. Right. So in other words, that's the earliest time. Misha Amad Berisho, Ad Shas Amad B'Din, Golidaite. Right. Rashi explains this for him. If he remains in his rishus and he doesn't do anything to perfect the ownership interest of the purchaser to the property that he sold it to until Amad B'Din. So according to the first opinion, we say that if he buys it thereafter, it's not for the sake of the purchaser. It's not for his sake. Okay. So the next Rashi, ad mata adrachta liyode.
Okay, let's go back to Ad. Let me get back clear. Ad sha'ata. Right. Ad sha'at hamata adrachta liday, until they put on him this adrachta, which is some kind of a seizing of assets factor. Ad sheyachavod b'din, until they din makes him chayiv. If there's a ruling, we throw it to pay. Okay, to pay the purchaser. Now to his money. The nehane l'lokea, and the benefit goes to the purchaser al nichnaso, on his properties, shel gazlan, of the thief. Shibakol makom, in every place. We did that phrase because I remember the abbreviation of that. She we find yachzik, he grabs onto it behem. The hayinu, and it is Isha Yom. This happens 90 days. Amad Ladin. 90 days after after he's in court. They give him 90 days for this judgment to pay up before they have to give him a so to speak, a notice. You owe this money. Amrinin, like we say, the Hagozel Basras. So in Bava Kama, there's a pasuk called Hagozel, and it gives 90 days to pay up before you have you really have to fork over the money.
Okay. So that's any time. So if he sells the property, if the Goslin buys the property from the true owner before this 90-day deadline after the psak din against him, we'll take on that he bought the property in order to benefit the lokeach. But afterwards, we won't. That's the second, according to the second opinion. That's the cutoff line. And now, what's the cutoff line according to the third opinion, Rav Papa?
Until there's an announcement made, a machriza. Okay, that's the odd. Ad the hachzara yoma the achruza, until the day of announcement, until they make. Did I read the whole phrase? What was that? Let me see. Ad dimit no machilan, until the days begin the days of announcing. La'acha, after shematza, after we find this karka land, Michel, after he finds the land of the robber, Ubal base there goes to court, the Hain machrizing, and then they make an announcement. They publicize. That's a good word for it. Shekol mi sheratzeh. Anyone who knows, no taka who wants to buy land, Yavo shall come. The yik yechena, and they should take it. The amrimin that we say, but arichin in another Gemora in Barichin, Daf Chof Aleph Omadei. Shum hayitamim shloshim yom. Now I don't know why. Yitimim mean are like orphans, like the days of the orphans are 30 days.
Shum is referring to the evaluation. They do an evaluation of the property. How much is the property worth?
And you give them 30 days to make that out, to make 30 days to get the evaluation. So that's the same thing here. You have a 30-day period.
After this one, it means the refers to the lokeach. He finds he locates karka that belongs to the gazlan. In other words, that's going to be what he can now ubal the bezdin. He comes to bezdin and says, "I found a karka that belongs to the gazlan," and then the bezdin says, "Fine. So now we'll do a hachrazah. We'll announce that there's going to be a public auction of the property of this gazlan. And why are we doing that? Of course, that's in order to pay off the lokeach from the proceeds of that property, because the lokeach, he gave money to this gazlan to purchase the property that the gazlan didn't own. And now when that property was taken away from the lokeach, he's now seeking redress from the gazlan. Oh yeah. So when does this happen? Yeah, you're right, Phil. That's probably why Rashi's bringing this Gemora with the Yisomim. Shum HaYisomim is 30 days. So I would assume that what we mean is that 30 days from the time that there was an adrachta. In other words, I guess maybe I don't know. I don't really know what the 30 day. Do you need 30 days to sell the land? Yeah, you give them 30 days? I would have thought they say, okay.
It's not a question of 30 days that you sell and give them 30 days. It takes time somebody has to go and do an evaluation. That's a shum. Somebody has to do an appraisal is the better word for it. Somebody has to appraise how much is owed.
Well,
and that with 30 days comes in.
But there's no, I mean, we know exactly, we know the Lokeach can prove how much he paid for the property, that we know how much he's missing. And if we're going to make an auction of the property, whoever wants to buy the property, whatever the property is worth, that's what it'll go for, no? Well, I don't know why do we need a valuation over here altogether?
When you buy and sell land, or like a house, generally you go into escrow for 90 days, and there's an appraisal that's done during those 90 days. I think that's pretty normal procedure.
What do you mean? The buyer says I'm selling it for $1 million. The seller says I'm selling it for $1 million. The buyer says okay, and that's it. What do you need an appraisal for?
No, but this is different because you're talking about, that's the whole phrase. They're talking here about a yatomim. So the orphans don't have any idea of what it's worth, and they need somebody to be in charge of the property for them. An apotropos, so somebody has to do an evaluation as to what's owned, quote unquote, the estate. These are orphans. They're not going to buy and sell and know what the correct amount is. You want to sell what it's worth and what it's not worth. Somebody has to figure that out for them, and that doesn't happen immediately. But
we don't have any Yisomim over here. We have a Goslin and a Lokeach.
No, but they're quoting it from a Yisomim. That was interesting.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know what it has to do with over here. I have no idea. Something I'm not getting over here. Let's see.
Okay, I'll read the Rashi on this.
Yeah, what do they say? There must be a note on this Rashi. The Rashi needs explanation.
The Art Scroll says, after a creditor locates property of the debtor, the court begins a 30-day public auction process. And that says, Siyarachin. If the robber did not purchase the land from its owner until the court began to auction off one of the robber's properties in order to repay the purchaser, it is clear that he is not interested in remaining trustworthy.
Okay, so they're giving 30 days for somebody to buy this property. It's not like they just have they call next Sunday is going to be we're going to auction off this property to the highest bidder. There's 30, I guess it sounds like there's 30 days that they give for somebody to make an offer on the property in order to get the highest bid, I guess, possible. And so where do they get 30 days from that you got 30 days? It's got something to do with the Yisomim. Although I'm saying that over there's no sale. Shum doesn't mean sale. Shum means evaluation. So I'm still not exactly sure what's so they didn't explain that either, really. They didn't explain it. Okay. Let's see. In other words, what's this whole story with Shuma Yisomim? 30 days. What's that all about? You've got Mishi Yeshlo Tevias Chov al Adam's Shemes. Let's say, in other words, you got somebody, Jew number 2, and he's got a claim against the deceased, Jew number 1. He says that the deceased owes him $10,000, right? Didn't pay him. So what do? We take from the Yisomim the the land that they inherited from their father. And over the course of 30 days, we make an auction. We make a hachraza, it's called. We announce that the land is up for sale. Whoever wants to buy it can buy it. And that is 30 days. Oh, so the way that they're explaining it, the word shum is totally not meduyak over here. There's no shum over here at all, according to the way they're explaining this Gemora. It's a Gemora in Erchin. I'm not going to look it up, but it explains it now. All right, that's the same thing. The deceased is this guy is proven that he's owed money by the deceased, and so too this lokeach, the purchaser, he's proven that he's owed money by the Goslin, because the Goslin took money from him to buy land that the Goslin didn't own. So now the Goslin owes the guy money. So now we're going to do this hachrazah and auction off the Goslin's property, and that auction is a 30-day period. So that's the 30 days over here that Rashi's quoting from this Gemora in Erchin. The word shum, which means evaluation, doesn't really fit very well in what we're saying over here. And so if the Goslin himself turns around and buys the property from the true owner, before that 30-day period, I guess we say that he's got his intention was to benefit the lokeach. Okay. All right. Okay. So maskif law Mar Bachama.
Maskif law. Rabbi Bar Chama. Rabbi Bar Chama. Rabbi Bar Chama objects. Mikti. Now let us see. Hi lokeach b'mai kane the hi ara. With what does this purchaser acquire this land? With what does this purchaser acquire this land? B'hai shitara. With this document, i.e. his original bill of sale, Hi Stara Haspa Ba'alma. Who? This document is merely like a useless shard. The English says, since the land did not yet belong to the seller at the time that he sold it, the sale was meaningless. It was a meaningless act, and the bill of sale was a useless instrument. How does the purchaser acquire the land?
Okay.
I'm confused.
So
who's the purchaser in this case?
Let me read the Rashi on this and see.
The purchaser was the one who, we got to remember the original case that we're talking about. The Goslin, he stole property from somebody that owned the property. Right. And that very property, he kicked off the guy, and now he's sitting on the property, and the Goslin, and now he's selling that property to this purchaser. He doesn't really own the property, right? Because he stole it from the true owner. So at the time that he sold it to this purchaser, he didn't own the property. So the document that he drew up a proper land sale document, but it wasn't what he's saying over here is that it's useless, that document, because that document because the Goslin didn't own the land at the time that they drew up this document. So we're asking, which document is he using to purchase the property with? He can't say that he's going to use this document that he originally bought the property with, because that's a useless document.
So the purchaser is Jew 3. Right? Jew 1 owns the land, Jew 2 steals the land and sells it to Jew 3.
Right.
So Jew 3 is the purchaser.
Right.
I want to know, how does he acquire the land? What is he? What? He's not acquiring the land. I'm confused.
Oh, okay. So now we got to go to the next step. Remember the next step that we're talking about over here. We're saying that the Goslin, after he sold the property to the purchaser, X number of days afterwards, he turned around and actually bought the property from the true owner.
Right.
And we're saying over here, these are the three opinions that we were talking about. Until what point in the proceedings do we say that when he does buy it from the original owner, that we say that his intention was to secure the ownership of the purchaser that he sold it to originally?
Right.
So we said, from the time of from the court case, from the time of the seizure warrant, or from the time of the auction. But now along comes Rabbi Bar Chama, and he says, wait a second, how can this purchaser actually purchase the property now? How can he be called the owner of the property now anyway? Because in any case, he's got to have some means of acquiring the property. He's got to have, right? He's got to have, and we're assuming that he's going to be acquiring it with a shtar. So what shtar does he have to be able to acquire the property with? If you want to say that he's going to acquire it with the original shtar that the Goslin gave him, so that shtar is worthless, says Rami Bar Chama. That won't be able to give him the ability to acquire the property.
I got it.
Good. Okay, Phil.
Okay, which one are we doing now?
Maskif law, Rami Bar Chama.
Okay, Maskif law, Rabbi Chana, he objected. Rabbi Bar Chana objected. Aha ma lacha rishon l'sheni. What the first one sold to the second one.
Oh, in other words, Rashi's explaining that this question is being asked according to the statement of Rav. And Rav said previously in the Gemora, he said, "Ma macharishon l'sheni kol hushatabel yodo." What was it that the Goslin was selling to the purchaser? He was selling to him the right to any acquisition that he would in the future attain over this property, even though he doesn't own the property right now. But if in the future he acquires the property, so then that also that ownership that the Goslin gets in the future will also go retroactively, I guess, to the purchaser. Remember that what we said?
No, I'm confused. Once again.
This Gemora requires you to remember trying to look right now where this was said. I don't think it was said too far back. Here it is. Boimine Shmuel Rav. Shmuel asked Rav a question. This is on Tesvav Amud Beis, towards the bottom of the Amud, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up from the bottom of the page. Boimine Rav Shmuel Mirav. That's the case that we're dealing with right now. If this Goslin turns around and buys the property from the one that he stole it from after he sold it to the lokeach, to the purchaser, Mahu, what's the din in that case? So Rav said, Amar Lei said back to him, Ma machalo rishon l'sheni kol schus shetavo liyado. It's not a problem. He will the Goslin, when the Goslin does that, he won't be able to take the land for himself, because we say that the original agreement was that he's going to the Goslin. He received the purchase price on the land from the purchaser for getting any schus that in the future would come his way in regard to this property. So therefore, when he thereafter acquired that property from the owner, that ownership of the property, that right of ownership of the property will now inure and go over to the purchaser. This is what we've been saying all along, that we say that when he goes to buy it from the original owner, we say that he really intended to not buy it for himself and take it away from the purchaser, but he bought it in order to benefit the purchaser, so that now the purchaser will have a real ownership in this property, because the one that sold it to him finally did attain a ownership interest in the property. Even according to this, what?
How can the robber sell future rights to something that he doesn't own?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very good question. But I don't know what the answer to that question is. But we're assuming that we're assuming that issue is somehow taken care of. But right. Rami Bar Chama is talking about something else. He's saying, even if we assume, for the sake of the argument, that he can do it, he can give him that future right that he doesn't right now have. Even if we could do that, Rami Bar Chama is saying, still, how does it work? Because the purchaser, he needs to have a valid document to an instrument to seal the deal, to make it the deal effective, and he doesn't have one.
So,
okay,
because he intends to do this, we say retroactively it was valid.
yes.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, take care. Be well.
Okay, all the best, Phil. Everybody have a great day.
All right, you too.
Suris Toivus. Amen. Amen.